Feed my sheep. I was thinking about this, and immediately when Mark had asked me to speak today, and right after the last time I was here, this was the title that just came to me instantaneously, and so I just went with it. I have no idea what I'm going to say. Just kidding. Because feed my sheep is really about being in that Christian love. And as I reflected on love, and I started thinking about, well, why do we love? Why do we have emotions? We all have these emotions. You may not be able to see it, but in the top right corner is the love of my life, my little calico kitty. Her name is Molly, and we have a very special bond. And my wife kids me about it all the time. She goes, "You and that cat." Of course, we have two children who have that kind of love that they share with one another, and people holding hands, and of course, motherly love. Everyone knows. And then, of course, romantic love, that feeling of companionship, on all of these loves, different kinds of loves. And why do we love? Why do we love? What makes us love things? And so I really started thinking about this question and started looking for answers and came up with a couple of really interesting definitions. And if we go to the next slide, you can read along with me. This is from a professor from Stony Brook College in New York. His name is Arthur Aaron. And his definition of why we love is, it is our primary motivation as human beings is to expand the self and to increase our abilities and our effectiveness. One of the ways we accomplish this is through our relationships. And then going on to the next one, the American Psychological Society came up with this little study that they had done. And it says that participants were shown a photo of the person that they loved. And regions of the brain responsible for motivating and rewarding began to function. The study found that romantic love motivates people, and the motivation toward this goal, loving and being loved, is fueled by the brain's reward system. So basically, those two definitions, it's like, we're loving to get something. We're loving, in the first case, we want to love just so we can make ourselves bigger and greater. And then the second one, it's basically, I want to love somebody because I want to get something in return. These are highly respected professionals and professional organizations that certainly have put a lot of time and energy and research into this question. But for some reason, I'm not really happy with their definition. The way that I read them or the way that I understand them, I really don't think that love is just about getting something from somebody else. I really don't think that love is about expanding myself, or with at least that being my primary motivation, to love somebody or love something. So why do we love? And what is love? We certainly all have answers to that question, but do we have the totality, complete answer to that question? The Greeks did a great job at defining love. If you go to the next slide. There were 5 types of love defined by the Greeks. And forgive me if I mispronounce some of these Greek words, but I'll give it my best. Epithumia, love, is the love that equals desire. A coveting love. Oh, I want that car. or I want that bike, or I want that house, or I want that job. Then there's, of course, eros, which is the one that all of us are familiar with, that romantic love, that person in our life that we share those intimate moments with. There's storge, or storge, and that's that comfortable love. That's the kind of love that you just feel at peace in your home, and it's just like it's your safe haven. You're like, I love this place. Some people may feel that this is Storge, Unity Church in Manhattan, that this sacred space that we meet in on Sunday mornings is a place of love. You walk in the door, and there's just a feeling in this room of love. What is that? Well, the Greeks call it storge. Phileo, love, and that's the affectionate love that we have for one another, the pats on the back, the rubbing of the head. My wife does that sometimes. I'll lay down on her lap and she'll rub my head. That's great. Or the affectionate love that I share with my beloved little Molly. I call her, well, her name, she's Calico. She's got Mizzou color, so I call her Molly Mizzou. And certainly affectionate love for children, and you know, getting hugs from, there's a famous picture of me with my two children, and they're both kissing me on the side of the cheek, and I've got this disgusted look on my face just to pick on them, you know, but it was a really cute picture, and I really get a lot of joy, and I feel a lot of love from that. I also have to mention that I felt a lot of love this morning from this group when I stepped out, and they said, Chris Foster, and you guys gave me your love and applause, and I have to tell you, that really filled me, and I can't even describe the feeling. I felt so accepted and so loved, and so thank you. And then there's agape love, which is a total and complete love. That's the kind of love that loves no matter what. A love that gives no expectation in return. How many of you have had the experience of doing something for somebody, but in the back of your mind, you've wanted something in return? Let's be honest. How many have had the experience of actually, I just want to do this for you, and totally giving that of yourself to that other person, and truly expecting nothing in return? How many have had that experience? You feel the difference? You know that difference in you and inside of you. That agape love is the secondary one there, where you give with no expectation in return. The interesting thing about agape love, it doesn't mean that you love unconditionally. It doesn't mean you allow people to run over you in that way. It's not like you want to love somebody by doing something that's going to try to harm them. No, you can set boundaries with agape love, because sometimes setting boundaries is loving that person. So agape love is a complete and total love that transcends the barriers of human understanding. Agape love is a kind of love that we have for a stranger, like Jesus had for the guy on the road to Samaria. He had that agape love. Or actually, it was Jesus' parable. It wasn't Jesus in the story. But that agape love was that love that took care of this complete stranger, and he expected nothing in return. Have you ever done the Secret Santa? Anybody ever done Secret Santa? Isn't it awesome? I love Secret Santa, because you can drop something in somebody's mailbox, or put it on their front porch, or you can put it in their locker at work or whatever. And they come in and they're like, wow. And it's amazing just how much joy you get out of a complete surprise that you don't know who came. And we did this. I work at Silent Unity during the week. And I had a secret Santa, and somehow I didn't know who it was up until they told me. And so I showed up, and there's a box of Cheez-Its in my locker, and I'm like, amen, there is a God, all right. I love Cheez-Its. I don't know, I'm just addicted to Cheez-Its. But then also I love the sitcom Seinfeld, and then I came in and there was a whole series of like season 2 or season 3 of Seinfeld. So I'm like, oh, it was just awesome, you know. And then I had my own secret Santa recipient that I was giving things to, and I had just the greatest time just giving this love in this way and not expecting anything in return. It was truly, truly an amazing Christmas season in that regard. But that agape love, if you go to the next slide, the Bible gives us an absolutely beautiful definition of love. And you've heard this if you've ever been to a wedding, or most every wedding has this reading. And this is from the 1 Corinthians letter that Paul sent to the church in Corinth. And this is chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. You've heard this. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. Let's just stop and think about these words as we read them. Ask yourself, are you these things? Or if you give love, are you doing these things? Love is patient. Are you patient? Love is kind. It does not envy. Think about that when somebody gets a job that you both are going for. Oh, I'm happy for you. Right? Right? I know I'm preaching to somebody here. It does not boast. Yo, the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Mark's happy. Love is not proud. It is not rude. It is not rude. I know if you've ever driven around D.C., it's a requirement to be a little bit rude. It is not self-seeking. Love is not easily angered. It keeps, this is one, it keeps no record of wrongs. How many in their little database of memory hang on to stuff? Well, amen, sister, you're honest, right? It keeps no record of wrongs. There's an example in the gospel of the woman who was running from these people who wanted to stone her because she had been in prostitution. And Jesus basically said, "Ye who is without sin, let him cast the first stone." And then they all went away. And basically, he had an opportunity right there to condemn her and say, you know, why are you living that kind of life? What are you doing? And he says, and basically he just says, you know, I see no fault. Go and live your life in peace. He didn't chastise her. He kept no record of her wrong. Do we do that? Do we keep records of our wrongs? It does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects. It always trusts. Always hopes. Always perseveres. And you think about these words that are read in a wedding. These words here that are read in a wedding. And still, over 50% of the marriages in this country end in divorce. Do we really understand what love is? This is a beautiful definition. I also like, if we go to the next slide, a little bit more on the spiritual side. Charles Fillmore defines in The Revealing Word, love is the pure essence of being. It's what we are. It's what binds us together as the whole human family. We can't separate ourselves from one another. It's what brings us together, what makes us procreate, what makes us expand, not only in physical form, but in spiritual form. So as we think about love and all of the different aspects of love, I wanted to focus on what it was to feed our sheep. Feed my sheep. When Jesus told Peter in John 21 to feed my sheep, what was he saying? And what were the context of what he was saying in that moment? The resurrection had already happened. It had already occurred. And Jesus had been appearing, and he'd been talking to the disciples, and he'd been talking to other people. And if you remember that before the resurrection, Peter was the one who denied Christ 3 times. And so, this is what theologians believe Jesus was reinstating Peter when he asked them, reinstating him to be the rock upon which he built his church. And he says, when they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these? Meaning the other disciples. Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Do you truly love me? He answered, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Do you agape me? Do you love me unconditionally? Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him a third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Who were Jesus' sheep? Jesus did not come to appease the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Romans. Jesus was a person who was ministering to those who were downtrodden, who were the peasants, who were the people who were considered the less thans in society. These were Jesus' sheep. Feed my sheep. Take care of the innocent ones. Don't spend your time worrying about the mighty and the righteous. Take care of the ones who really need it the most. This is how you exercise Christian love. This also works in tandem with the reading in Corinthians that love is not jealous, it does not boast. How many times do we pass judgment on somebody who's standing on a street corner that's asking for money? We certainly can create a story real quickly. We can turn and tune our radios. We can look the other way. But if you think about it, those people who are, maybe they have addictions, I don't know, maybe they have substance abuse problems, I don't know. But aren't they the ones that need it the most? Aren't they the ones that need love? Maybe they don't need our money. One of the neatest things that I remember a friend of mine doing, saying she carried bottled water in her car. And she didn't give him money, but she gave him water in a form of love. And I'm not advocating that people do that or put themselves in a dangerous situation or something where they feel uncomfortable, but the idea that we're so quick to judge in that moment is something that we should reflect on and say, why are we judging? Not only there, not when we're driving around, but you know, we go through a crime-ridden neighborhood Why is there crime there? There's fear, there's worry, there's doubt, there's a fear of lack. There's a fear of lack. These people have to steal so they can get something. They have lost faith in a more secure way of living. Aren't these the ones that are the sheep? There were two men in history that embodied this idea of feeding sheep. There was more than them. There was certainly Mother Teresa. But certainly the two men that I think of were Gandhi and Martin Luther King. A lot of people know that Martin Luther King, of course, was assassinated in Memphis, but he was assassinated there helping the garbage workers, the sanitation workers. He wasn't helping the local politician to try to get elected. He was helping the people who were abused and taken advantage of. He was helping those people. The people who we would sort of scoff at and say, oh, they're just a garbage man. This man who had national prominence, who had won a Nobel Peace Prize, was helping the garbage man. Certainly paints a different light on the life of Martin Luther King. And of course, Gandhi, who was somebody who stood up for the people in the face of tremendous personal persecution and abuse, starving himself to prove a point for those who were oppressed, who were politically oppressed, who could not vote, who didn't have a voice. These two men were two men who took the idea of feeding sheep and loving in a Christian way. So this week of Valentine's Day, let's just reflect on what exactly love is for ourselves in our relationships, and also what it is for our community, because this is a church of coming together of Christians, metaphysical Christians, whatever, but we're here to serve and to love one another and to be a powerful force in this community. Today is an important day in the history of this church because it's your annual meeting. Every annual meeting is important. And you have a choice as to what kind of church that you're going to create, what you're going to do with your community. But the church is the body of people. Let your sacred intentions be centered in love and service. I want to end with a song. This is a song written by Greg Greenway. I think my friend Palma went and saw him when he came here at the theater a couple of years ago. And I love this song. And he does a little fun thing with a U2 song.
Ganges. He took the lion by the tail. He made a way
He was ready when they told him Memphis chooses you. See so far in the name of love, you stand in the name of love, shoulders of giants. Oh, in the name of never lack for heroes in your darkest hour of need.